Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, January babies. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, January babies. We wish you many more exceedingly great years ahead. Celebrate in an outstanding style with lots of love and thanksgiving for your new age. From your friend, Crafters TV. Hello and good day to you. Today we'll be making a basic cake to celebrate January birthdays or the birthdays in January. So to make our cake we need evaporated milk, 410 grams, unsalted butter, 250 grams, 3 fresh eggs, Demerara sugar or brown sugar. If you have granulated sugar, white sugar, you can use that. Self-raising flour. Then after we finish baking the cake, we'll just dust it over with icing sugar. So let's start. Yeah, and you can see our mixer over there. There's a mixer we demonstrated. We did an unboxing video for the Tefal kitchen unit, and there's a pan we'll be using for the cake. So we just dust it over when we finish baking. It's a burnt pan, although it's a springform pan, so it separates, and you can see some burnt pan that do not separate. So use whatever. You can even use a plain pan if you want to. We are just making a basic cake. Let me fix this back. It's locked in place. Alright, for the equipment, we're using the Tefal kitchen unit. I've just fixed the mixer, and that's the kitchen unit we did the unboxing video for, where we have the mixer and and that's the kitchen unit we did the unboxing video on. And we have the mixer, beater, meat mincer, the grater, the blender, and I think, is that all? Okay, the juice extractor. So for the equipment, we use the kitchen unit. We use our scale. We have a scale. We need our sieve to sieve the flour, and we need a spatula to just take our mixture from the mixing bowl. The the mixer we are using, the hook we are using, I'll just go closer to it and you see it's a beater. That's a beater. That's what we are using to mix. And finally, before I forget, at least I forget the most important, we need an oven. Yeah, that's the oven. And here we have our cooker with our oven in it. All right, so let's start. Before we start, I'm just going to put the oven on 150 degree centigrade. While I'm putting it on 150 degree, and when we finish baking, when we finish mixing, we'll put our pan in the middle. Although it will take a bit longer, but your cake is not going to get burnt. It might take about 45 to 1 hour 20 minutes or 1 hour 30 minutes to get cooked, but your cake won't get burnt because one is in the middle and we are using the minimum the average cooking time, or the average cooking heat, degree centigrade or degree Celsius, on the oven. So when you are baking, you can use that. Even when you are making your pizza or so, if you are not going to check it quickly, like that, you can use that to do that. All right, let's start. So we'll just so just focus the camera on we'll put the butter first, and I'm going to 250 grams, and I'm going to put the same for the you can put them in chunks. You can put it in chunks like this, or you can divide them. So let me divide them. You can put it in chunks like so, or you can just split it to make it easier for the mixer. The butter is in room temperature. The butter is in room temperature. So add our sugar, and I'm going to weigh this sugar. I can use my scale, or I can use let me use the scale. $250 grams of sugar too, or if alternatively you can decide the grams you want. It's sugar, and if you want it reduced, you can. Because if you put too much, cake is going to be too sugary, and we don't want that. So if I put I'll make it 250. All right, that's 250 grams. So I just poured the sugar, and you can see that it's 250 grams on the scale. If you want it reduced, you are free to do that. If I were icing the cake, I will have my, just put that on. press the lever to bring in the upper part of the kitchen unit. And I'll put it on warm so that it mixes. While it's mixing, I'll start sieving the flour. To make it good. I want it about 500 grams. Perfect. And I can increase the mixing now. So just take a look at our mixture. Okay, that's smooth enough for us. I'm going to put it back and reduce it to 1. Then I'll put the eggs and milk so that the mixture is a bit soft, or should I say it's of a pouring consistency. So I'm going to put one egg first. When you're breaking the egg, make sure you separate them. So I'm going to put the egg next. When you are breaking the egg, make sure you do them one after the other. That's because you don't want to break 3 eggs together and find out that it is rotten. So, or it's spoiled, the egg is spoiled. So you just break one first. You can break the second one, break the third one if you want to break it. But if there's a bad one and you add it to this, it's going to be the whole egg are rotting. So I'll keep the machine flowing. I'll keep the machine working, sorry. I'll keep it working. And then add one egg. I'll add the second one, the second egg. And I'll add the third one. That's the third egg. I'll add the evaporated milk, but I won't add everything. About half of the evaporated milk. The flour, and it's about 500 grams, exactly 500 grams, and we're going to add it little by little. I left half of the evaporated milk in case it's too thick. Then I can use the remaining part of the evaporated milk to lighten it up to make the cake, because I don't want it to be too dense. I want it to be a bit fluffy. Just going to use my spatula to push some, but sticking, that's a bit thick at the side, that's sticking to the side of the bowl. the remainder of the milk, or the remaining milk. Just going to stop it, and you see how pouring it is. Then I'll clean the bowl with the, I'll just go around the bowl with the, I don't need it to open too much so that it don't start dripping to the mechanical part or the electrical part of the mixer. So I just clean the, just scrub the side of the bowl. With a spatula. As you are mixing that, I'll get a little bit of butter, unsalted butter or fat, just to grease the pan. And then I'll dust the pan with flour. So while it's mixing, move that backward so that I start mixing that. We'll be working on this. So I have a little unsalted butter here, or fat. I'm just going to grease. I missed that. So I have a little unsalted butter or fat here. I'm just going to use to grease the pan. If you don't have extra butter to use, you can use sunflower oil to grease the pan. You don't need too much, so just going to grease. And because it's a burnt pan, we have to grease this tube part of it, so that it can release our cake properly. Although it's a spring foam pan, as I demonstrated earlier, you can still use it. You can do the same technique for the ones that are not spring foam pans. And I'm going to dust it with a bit of flour. So I use the same flour and just put a little to dust it. This is going to enable it to release the cake. If you don't, you can also use grease-proof paper or baking paper to do this. Just put it, cut it, put it at the base of the pan, or on the base of the pan, and then we'll dust the excess off. Going to make sure this other parts are covered. This protruding tube here, so that my cake will be released when it's cooked. It will come out neatly. Just going to Sorry, I'm just tapping the excess. I'm just tapping the excess out or off. All right. So here we go. It's too much, so I'm going to just tap it. Yeah, we have it. So mixture is ready. Pan is ready. Oven is hot now. It's time to put our mixture in the pan. Oh, I still have some. Okay, let me just. We have some flour on the hook. I'm just going to dust it into the flour and let it mix that. All right. And you can see how it's dropping. That's how I want it, so that I can take the shape of the pan. I'm just going to clean the hook with a spatula. Cleaning the mixture of the hook with a spatula. I have to look at how the hook is so that I can remove it. Okay, look at it. Alright, I've turned it to myself. Okay. That's it. Just going to clean this other off. Trying to have minimum waste. It's not really waste, I'm going to lick them later. So here we go. As I was pouring it, I noticed that the bottom is wasn't properly mixed. So I'm going to put it back for it to mix. can smoothen it if you want to, so that it's leveled. So that's our cake. We take it to the oven and bake at 150 degrees Celsius. Middle layer of the oven. So we put it in the oven at 150 degrees Celsius. So here's our cake. It's ready. I'm just going to bring so here's our cake. It's ready. So I'll put the rack over it because I'm going to flip it and allow it to cool. Going to flip it. It's quite hot. Since it's a spring foam pan, it's quite hot, so I'll need to release it from here. So I just release the latch. The side of the pan we expand and I'll drop. So here we have our cake. Let me see if I can use my hand. Okay. Oh gosh. Okay, that's released, and here we have our cake. So I'll put this one aside. Our showstopper. We allow it to cool, and after it has cooled down, we'll dust the icing sugar over it, and we'll enjoy the cake and celebrate with January birthday celebrants, or January babies. And let's call them January babies. Every month has its own has their babies. So we'll leave it like so that it cools down, and I'll use a work surface that's not going to distract from that's not going to camouflage with it. That is not going to. I'm going to use a contrasting work surface when I have to display it. So I just leave it to cool on the kitchen work surface now. Then when we present it, we will have we'll have a contrasting high contrast work surface so that we can see the cake properly. So I just allow it to cool, and then we'll dust icing sugar over it and celebrate with January babies. You can eat it like this if you want to. So I'll just do a light icing sugar over it. Just dust powder icing sugar over it. I'm not going to do much. So here we have our cake on the rack. I'm going to move it onto the glass stand. This is a cake lifter, so I'm going to use that to assist me to lift it from the rack, and I'll bring in our glass stand and I'll slide it on it. Centralize it. The nice thing about the pan, you can see the should I say pumped shape around it. Don't know what to call it. So what just going to slightly open an icing sugar, powdered icing sugar. Pour a little into a bowl, just little because I don't want too much. So I've poured little into a bowl, icing sugar. I'll put my sieve over the and just shake the sleeves and just shake this sieve slightly. And here we have a cake for our January babies. Should I say January crafters or designers? I'll just call you. I'll just say January for birthdays in January. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, January baby. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, January babies. We wish you many more exceedingly great years ahead. Celebrate in an outstanding style with lots of love and thanksgiving for your new age. From your friend, Crafters TV.